Professor Walter Ong has been influential in his studies on the evolution of consciousness. He believed that more than any other single invention, writing has transformed human consciousness. The ancient Greek word techne means an art, skill, or craft, a technique by which something is created. Writing is considered a necessary skill and a possible art today, just as it was in early literate cultures. In our modern 21st century, text is all around us, suggesting we are highly literate. Meanwhile, there is a general misgiving in the population that the youth are becoming less literate as they are immersed in computing technologies. Neil Postman in Technopoly argues that we have children who are casualties of this new technology, children who can't learn to read or won't, children who cannot organize their thought into logical structures, even in a simple paragraph, children who cannot attend to lectures or oral explanations for more than a few minutes at a time. Are our youth really less literate? Are computing technologies to blame? To answer these questions, let's examine the oral tradition. The Greeks represent a significant early literate culture whose writing was still heavily influenced by oral tradition. It's impossible for us to completely understand what it would have been like to live in a time without the technology of writing, but we can get a sense of oral conventions through the writing of Homer. Homer represents the rhapsodist who would entertain royalty with their story songs. They were skilled in memorizing and reciting. The content was repetitious, patterned, additive, redundant, and agonistic for the purpose of memory. It was also very focused on the human life world. Homer's The Iliad is an early writing that exemplifies the lingering influence of oral tradition on the early technique of writing. These rhapsodists possessed strong oral literacy. However, they did not represent the general population. It was a skill set of a select group of people. Likewise, the academics we study today, like Socrates and Plato, do not represent the common people in terms of literacy either. They advanced the art of oral rhetoric, which further expanded oral literacy. I agree with Emavo Biacolo that a continuity theory is more logical than one that suggests a great divide, because writing has to grow out of oral culture and develop over time. Thus, oral literacy should be regarded as significant as textual literacy. It was only logical that written rhetoric would follow. Plato's objections to writing in Phaedrus and the Seventh Letter are examples of well-crafted written rhetoric. Between Greek civilization and now, there have been many developments in textual literacy that were religiously, politically, and/or socially motivated. The Codex Bible, the Catholic Church, the development of the papacy, Martin Luther King and the 95 Theses, development of the printing press, translating and publishing of the Bible for common man, religious reform in Britain, and the various movements for public education. These are some of the key moments in history that have shaped our modern literacy. Which brings me back to Postman. Do we really have whole generations who can't read or write sufficiently? Postman uses fear to persuade the reader to his position. We can all see the world is different than it was before digital media and technology, but the perspective that literacy is declining as a result is a myth. Deborah Brandt, English professor at the University of Wisconsin, researches literacy learning in modern culture. She has determined that our modern economic system and technological change has raised the expectations for literacy achievement. One such example is the increasing entrance requirements for college programs that did not require such a high standard of literacy in the past. For example, an automotive technician program now requires increased reading ability and computer skills, since the industry has become highly computerized and textbook reading is intensive. Literacy is the ability to function in one's society. Prior to the 19th century, basic literacy amounted to being able to write your own name. Expectations for basic literacy in modern society are considerably more demanding. The New London Group was academics who devised a manifesto that outlined an agenda for adopting a pedagogy of multiliteracies. Two group members, Bill Cope and Mary Kalantzis, continue to advocate for an altered view of what constitutes literacy. Because competency in these new literacies leads to higher wages, ability to engage in civic life, and personal growth. And those skills that are necessary for success today require a much more diverse competency that involves 6 modalities of meaning. In addition to written and oral language, visual, audio, tactile, and gestural representation are also significant. Educating students is to prepare them for life in their society. And our society demands a much different literacy than was required prior to the modern computer age. More than any other single invention, writing has transformed human consciousness. But today, literacy encompasses several modes of understanding that expand on oral and written communication, and computing technologies are continuing to broaden our definition of text.